Hi.
Man with camera. Mama's taught you how to be cute for the camera. I know she has.
Okay, I've got to reshare to our groups. Welcome back, everybody. Yes, we brought inside after the camera took a fall. We'll start here in about 30 seconds. There we go. Appears the phone is working still. Had that happen with the broadcast camera too, where the tripod goes forward and then the whole thing, yeah, it never feels good.
Nope.
Okay. And I'm going to do one more share.
Makes sense. Who's that? Who's that?
Okay.
I can. Did you drop your kitty?
Stand by, everybody. We'll start in just a few seconds.
I'm ready whenever you guys are. Are you ready? I'm ready. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paige Brown. I'm the mayor of the city of Gallatin, and this is Kim Baker, who's the CEO of the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce. And the bright bit of sunshine in our day-to-day is her daughter, Ann Lynn, who's joining us. Say hi. And we were going to bring you our report from outside, but the wind wasn't cooperating. We wanted to make sure that you were able to hear us. I'll recap just briefly some information today. You may have seen the state report that published for Sumner County the number of 43. I have heard that number is higher. Do not have a confirmed number. We do expect it to continue going up. We need it to go up very slowly, and we need people to continue to protect themselves so that they protect their loved ones. In the state of Tennessee, the governor a little while ago said that there were 957 confirmed positive cases in the state of Tennessee, and that 14,900 and a few had been tested. I did see a report just in the last few minutes on social media that confirmed number is actually 1,098, which means that we still have to be vigilant. I think people are feeling like it's been a week, the sun's out, we can get about and do things, but you really, really can't. The state has launched a campaign called Do Your Part, Stay Apart, really pushing the personal responsibility piece of combating the spread. And then recently, well, I guess it was this morning, and Kim and her team formulated this, but we launched this morning Stay Home Sumner. And this is our efforts to give you a tool to continue to remind your family, your friends, your neighbors that staying home is what's going to help stop the spread of this. So please share that on social media. Explain to your friends again why it's so very, very important. I'm hearing more and more of people who are tested that were asymptomatic that are testing positive. So if they're testing positive, they may well be able to give the disease to someone else. So just because you're feeling okay doesn't mean that you can't make someone else really sick. And that's why we need everyone to stay away from anyone for as much as they possibly can. Obviously, we know there are things you have to do. You have to go to the grocery store, you have to go to the drugstore. When you do those things, make sure that you take all the precautions that you can, whether it's wearing gloves and masks or being careful to sanitize before and after your purchases so that you can protect yourself. Here within the state, I think some of the biggest demands at this point are still for PPE, which stands for personal protective equipment. We are asking if there are companies or businesses or individuals who do have those important supplies, particularly, I think right now, face shields and glasses and N95 masks are the biggest need, but certainly gowns and gloves could potentially be a need too. So if you have those and you're willing to donate them, please let one of us know, and we will get them to the proper channels so they can be distributed by priority. I also heard the governor just a little while ago report that they are launching a Tennessee Talent Exchange, and this is for the people who have been who have lost their employment as a result of this virus. There is a whole nother sector that needs employees badly. So they've launched this Tennessee Talent Exchange, and that information is on jobsfortn.gov. So I'd encourage you that if you do want to work and help serve your community, that you visit that website and see what might be available for you to do if you are looking for a job at this point. Kim, what's on your front today? What have you been exposed to that you want to share with our faith? Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, thanks for tuning into these. I would say one thing, I got a lot of calls this morning, and I noticed it myself too when I was driving to the office. There's a lot of people out, which is good. It's good if you are getting outside and you're doing essential things. But if you're not and you're just out to be out and going places you don't need to be, that really needs to stop. It is really concerning because, you know, if you're out in a park, eventually if everybody goes out to the park, there's going to be a large gathering of people. So, you know, enjoy the outside weather, enjoy the sunshine, but do that in your yard or your porch.
Or your car.
Your car. Take a ride. That's okay. I hope everybody that I saw today was out taking a ride, because I think that's a good idea. I think I sat on 4 calls today. 2 of them were SBA related. One was K-12 and higher education related, and there's a lot of things that are in the works right now. I think we'll see a lot come out of the CARES Act if that to be approved in the morning, which it's set to vote.
Yeah, just to, if you don't know what the CARES Act is, if you haven't heard about this yet, it's the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. It was passed by the Senate either last night or early this morning, and so it's to be considered by Congress, and there are a lot of things in this act that could be very beneficial to our individuals, our businesses, certainly to our recovery efforts and our treatment efforts. And so I appreciate this effort at the national level to address the needs of individuals, communities, healthcare, and all of those who are feeling such a pinch right now. Do you want to talk about a couple of the things in that act that you might have interest in?
I'll hit the highlights because, again, the Chamber, our biggest interest, of course, is in the relief to businesses, which I'll talk a little bit about that. But, you know, the top points of the CARES Act, really, number 1, income for American families. Number 2, small business assistance. Number 3, assistance to distressed job creators. Number 4, ensuring access to care for all Americans. And 5, direct funding to combat the pandemic. And so there's thousands of pages within these documents.
I think it's 840 pages is the full document we got this morning.
And then there's different pieces of it. And so we will be posting, in fact, in the Chamber's dashboard email that we're sending out, we're sending an overview of what these look like. And you can, if you have some time, you can certainly read through that. But we'll be pushing out the highlights and how that impacts different sectors in the community.
And at this point, this is just legislation that is going through right now. It is not confirmed. But because we are getting so many calls, because for, I guess, a couple of weeks now, people have been hearing about potential stimulus checks, etc. Right now, what is in the act that is being considered by Congress is, and this is dependent on your situation. This is not a blanket across the board. Every person in the United States receives this. But for those who qualify, it would be a $1,200 per individual, $2,400 per couple, and $500 per eligible child. There are income restrictions on that. And certainly employment, your status of employment does affect that. On the small business front, Kim has been working with a lot of businesses who want to know more. And we do know that the loan program is out there with the low interest loans. But now they're talking about potentially, that 501c3s can participate in those loans. And that loans taken by small businesses to keep employees on payroll could be forgiven. And that the government could forgive 8 weeks of cash flow, rent, and utilities at 100% up to 2.5 times the monthly payroll. Certainly assistance to the job creators, that's our employers in our community, and that's very meaningful for us. Access to care for all Americans. upping that Medicare reimbursement rate for healthcare providers, and then direct funding to help combat the pandemic. That's funding for communities, funding for healthcare workers in hospitals, purchases of PPE, we discussed that, personal protective equipment, support for our local responders, funding for research, support for small businesses, college universities, veteran healthcare, and the Department of Defense response to COVID-19. So that's a little bit from the CARES Act. Look for that, follow that. I'm sure it will be all over the news in the next 24 hours. And I think most people are very hopeful that that is approved. I think that is pretty much what I have in my report for today. Is there anything further you want to share?
I was going to share a couple more things. Just no real new updates, and I think what we see come out of that will be more. But on the SBA and small business side of things, I thought this were interesting, and just letting you know how those agencies are working for businesses right now. Over the past week, the SBA has added over 1,000 employees, and they're all teleworking, and that equating to $18 billion in loans they're accessing and having available, and they're freeing up that so banks are able to do a lot of these lending. So you will be able to do most of these transactions, and a lot of them, through community banks and other banks in the area. And so if you are a business in the area, definitely check with your own financial institution. They'll be able to help you navigate this process. I think that's about all I have as well. We shared our Get Strong, our Gallatin Strong challenge today, and that was to go outside. And like I said earlier, get outside, enjoy the sunshine. You've still got a few hours left of it. I know we've spent some time outside today. We're just pushing those out to keep everybody, engaged, and offer opportunities to do things in the community and at home that maybe you don't have time to do normally, and just let people share with each other. I wonder if there's any questions out there.
Do you have any questions?
I see one. Let's see. Kristen Farley asked, where are the testing sites if someone's curious about that?
The Sumner County Health Department is testing. Also, Sumner Regional Hospital is testing. Again, if you feel like you need to be tested, please call ahead, because they do not want people showing up without them knowing the protocol. And that is for the protection of individuals, but also for the healthcare workers. But there is testing going on. The governor was talking about today that he's really working to shorten those test turnaround times. There are some tests in the country right now with very short turnaround times, and they're endeavoring to get some of those here in Tennessee.
I was going to tell them the number for Sumner Regional if you wanted to go to that testing. They're asking that you call 615-289-4186. We'll put this in the comments too. For the screening, they'll pre-screen you on the phone, and then if you went to the hospital, I think it's good for everybody to know that you're going to what they've established as ER2. And so non-COVID patients and people that are not showing COVID and respiratory symptoms are not going into the regular ER.
And
So I think that's good.
And if you do have other health issues, whether it's an injury or heart attack or stroke or any of those other symptoms or signs, you can go to the regular ER, or certainly call 911 too if that's your case. 911, if you do make that call, they are screening. Again, that's for your protection and the protection of our first responders. So if you have to call 911, please be patient with those questions. Realize that our dispatch center has the capability of dispatching while they are talking to you. So do not feel like as long as they're asking questions, they are still sending out information on the dispatch side so that help can get to you fast if you need it. I think that's important to know. I do want to continue to say, we all need to say our prayers if we're believers. We need to love our neighbors. We need to support them, support our most vulnerable population who is still indoors, and that we all know that life is still going on, just in a very, very different way. And for a lot of people, it certainly makes things harder. Unfortunately, today in the city of Gallatin, one of our Gallatin City employees, a public service officer, was actually laid to rest. You can see the information about Mr. Trout and actually the procession that was done back behind City Hall for he and his family earlier today. And it's just heartbreaking to think that there are people in our community that are having to deal with those kinds of circumstances without the typical support that they would have had in our community in just a few weeks ago. But it's the reality that we're all facing, and I think prayers, good thoughts, notes of support and encouragement and kindness are very meaningful. And there's still florists making deliveries. I got one today. Thank you to my friends that sent this. That was very, very meaningful from Rick and his gang. So thank you.
I'll add that I think everybody should show each other grace right now, because I think we're all, experiencing a new normal, and we've stressed that. And hang on a second. I've heard people have called, they're angry about their employers because they've been laid off or their hours have been reduced. And just keep in mind that everybody's having to make tough decisions right now, and people are having to do things differently, think creatively, even with childcare, and just show grace. And I think Gallatin's really good at that already. I will also say that we were featured, a bit of good news is that we were featured in People Magazine today on their online version. And so it features the Pandemic Pals, and it tells a little bit of how Gallatin shows up in the best and worst of times.
Well, that's a very nice focus for Gallatin at this very delicate time. One of my favorite phrases, I use it a lot within our city government, is extend grace, because I really believe that most people right now are doing the best that they can. It is a time of high emotions, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. Whenever you're dealing with unknowns, that is the case. So do your best to be tough, to be brave, and most importantly, to extend grace and show compassion and empathy for those around you. I think Kim's had to run off to take care of her little one, and that's certainly understandable. But I think, I know a good way to make you smile today before we say goodbye. We're actually sitting in the mayor's office right now, and I have a picture that I take with me when I get to talk to school children, and I thought I'd share it with you today, and I thought it would make you smile. See this old feller? I always ask kids who they think it is. I'm ruining all my future classroom visits. But I always ask students who they think this is. And I've had guesses from your grandfather to Walt Disney to Ebenezer Scrooge. But this is actually an old portrait of Albert Gallatin, for whom the city of Gallatin is named. So I thought it was fun to share it with you all today. Remember, we can still find things to smile about even through the tears, and I hope that you will continue to do that. On behalf of Kim and Ann Lynn, we love our Gallatin community. We love each and every one. Bye, Ann Lynn. She's going to get ice cream, so she's in a hurry to leave. But we love you, we care about you, and we know that you do us and the rest of the community as well. Just hang in there. We're going to get through this. We'll get through it together. And on the other side, Gallatin is going to be a better community and a stronger community. Take care.
Say bye, sis.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.